What's up, guys? Diego from the Foot and Fist Sports Network here to bring you the very first Premier League Aftermath show of the new Premier League season. And let me tell you, I couldn't have asked for a better first match day to start off the season. I mean, it's just insane. So many tremendous results, so many crazy results, so many upsets. And let's go ahead, jump right into the breakdown, starting off with Arsenal versus Leicester, which ended 4-3 in favor of Arsenal Football Club. And let me tell you, when it comes to first games, it could not have possibly gotten any better. I mean, it kicked off the season with a bang. Absolutely tremendous game. And me personally, obviously being a United fan, I would have loved Arsenal to have lost the game. I would have been happy with a 1-0 win for Leicester, a 2-1 win, whatever. But the way it ended, it simply kicked off the season and added some momentum in a way that you could not possibly get from any other kind of result. I mean, they started off Arsenal within 2 minutes, getting a goal. Great cross in, Lacazette, just tremendous finishing. He pretty much didn't even move. Perfect goal, perfect header. What a start for the guy. Right, like 2-3 minutes later, Vardy makes it 1-1. Then I think Leicester made it 2-1. Then Arsenal tied it 2-2. Then Leicester made it 3-2. And then fucking Arsenal in like the 83rd minute make it 3-3. And then like the 89th or something like that, 88th, 89th, make it 4-3 for Arsenal. Tremendous performance. And Olivier Giroud, for all the criticism he gets, and I give him quite a bit of criticism, he came on just like he always does, and he made an impact for Arsenal. When it comes to impact subs, you pretty much can't find anybody better than Olivier Giroud. He kind of reminds me of Chicharito back when he used to play for United. He doesn't have great feet and something like that, but if you put him in the right spot, when there's a lot of pressure on the opposing team, there's always a chance he's going to get a goal. And he was much better than Chicharito, there's no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, Arsenal, the big takeaway from this isn't the fact that, yes, they got the result. That's not that. They have to be happy with the result, but definitely cannot be happy with the performance. I mean, if you're playing against fucking Leicester, who obviously are a tremendous team when they're counterattacking, but other than that, they aren't really that great. They don't have a lot of really, really good players. Maybe they have Mahrez, they have Vardy, who was looking like the old Vardy. And other than that, they don't really have a lot to offer. Maybe Iheanacho off the bench. They don't have a ton of options there. But for them to get destroyed like that by Okazaki, in particular in the air when Okazaki scored his header, that's atrocious. And yes, they are missing Mertesacker, they are missing Mustafi, they are missing Koscielny. But at the same time, we're talking about the same Arsenal problem every single year. They don't have any depth, especially in center back. They don't have any fucking depth. And if you are playing a three-man defense, you have to have a lot of options for that defense. And they simply do not have it. I think that's going to be a big problem for them. So they can't exactly be extremely satisfied with what happened. They can be happy with the result, with the amount of goals they scored. But defensively, they are still looking atrocious. They're still looking very weak. And they still have a lot to build on. But at the end of the day, an amazing game. I'm just so fucking happy. Thank you, Arsenal. Thank you, Leicester, for opening up the Premier League season and getting everybody so crunk, so pumped for the next few games. And the next games didn't disappoint either. The next game is a 3-3 draw between Liverpool and Watford. And just another crazy performance from both teams. And realistically, Watford in that first half were the better team. Arsenal weren't creating anything. Emre Can in particular wasn't really doing a whole lot. He was playing a bit more it's just an odd role because the guy, he tends to get forward a lot, and that's what he did in the second half. But in the first half, he wasn't really doing a whole lot. And overall, the team, you could tell, without Coutinho, they really lose a ton of power. I mean, Coutinho is the heart and soul of that team because he, just like that, can create just about anything for that team. And even you can see, even bringing in Salah, who, in my opinion, isn't that good a player. I've always said that. I don't like Salah at all. But even bringing him in, he didn't really change anything. Having Mane be playing as like the false nine type of thing, they just didn't really create a whole lot. They did not create a whole lot. Watford deserved to be 2-1 ahead. They absolutely deserved it. And unfortunately for Watford, they kind of crumbled in the second half. They started off the second half very slowly. They didn't really have a whole lot of energy. And it just seemed like they came out there with a different mentality than they did in the first half. Maybe the manager was trying to get them to play a bit more defensively and to hold them off a little bit more. But I don't know. It just seemed like a bit like that to me. Regardless, though, Liverpool came back from a 2-1 deficit, made it 3-2, and then right there, in the 93rd minute, they concede a stupid fucking goal, and Watford make it 3-3. Have to give credit to Watford for continuing to fight until the very end, but in the Premier League nowadays, that's normal. That's absolutely normal. Everybody keeps on fighting, especially against the big teams, because there isn't the same fear of the big teams that there used to be. I mean, back in the day, like even 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever the teams would show up to like Anfield, and this wasn't at Anfield, this was at Watford's home, that's the same, but still. And they would show up to Old Trafford, Stamford Bridge, the Emirates, even White Hart Lane to a certain degree. They would feel like they were kind of fucked, basically. They didn't expect to really get a result. If they got a 1-1 draw or something like that, they'd be very happy. If they got a draw in general, they'd be happy. But at the end of the day, they didn't expect to get a win. But nowadays, these small teams, they constantly attack because they don't have the same respect for the big teams that they used to have. And that's a big problem for the big teams because nowadays, that's what makes the Premier League so good, is the fact that nowadays these teams do not respect them, they do not fear them, and there's so much that can happen. There's so much that goes on. Now, Liverpool, same thing as Arsenal. They are really good attacking, but they have to fix their defense, and that's the same problem that the Arsenal have. They are great attacking, but when it comes to defending, they have huge holes. They haven't really fixed the holes, and that's going to be the big problem. If they don't sign any center backs that are really good quality, both teams, then neither team are going to make it in the top 4, and that's why I have them both finishing 5th and 6th. If you haven't seen my prediction video, definitely check it out. It will be in the link in the description down below, and linked at the end with the little aftermath thing where they have like the subscribe button and the a video that I recommend. So next up, we have West Bromwich Albion versus Bournemouth, which finished 1-0 for West Brom. It was a typical Tony Pulis performance. Whatever you want to say about the guy and the way he plays, I'm a guy who criticizes him a lot for the way he plays. But at the end of the day, if you want a manager that's going to keep you in the Premier League and get you some wins, you can't go any better than Tony Pulis if you're a mid-table team. It doesn't get any better than him. He simply knows how to get a result. He simply knows how to hold off a good team because Bournemouth are a very good team. Especially attacking, they're very good. They're very fast. They play really good football. But Tony Pulis is a master at shutting down people who play good football and basically imposing his physical game and his will on his opponents. That's exactly what happened to Bournemouth. Bournemouth, now that they have added Jermaine Defoe, they have even more attacking power. They had King, that was a tremendous player. Maybe Defoe and King are going to be a bit of an obstacle for each other because King is a guy who likes to move around a lot. He's a guy who likes to get into space. And the fact that he's playing behind Jermaine Defoe, or at least he was in the first game, it might possibly limit the amount of range he has in his movement. So that might be a problem. That might be something that Eddie Howe has to work into. But if there's a manager that's going to be able to work in that team and really get them playing well, it is Eddie Howe, because I have tremendous respect for the guy. I think he has so much talent. I think he has a huge future. And I do think that Bournemouth, regardless of what happened in this loss, I think they are still going to have a good season because they still play good football, they have a good manager, and they have brought in some really good players. So I do expect them to do better than that. And there's no shame in losing to West Brom at West Brom. If you lose at their stadium, especially we're not talking about a huge team, obviously. We're not talking about Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, the top 6. Those guys cannot afford to lose at West Brom. But a team like Bournemouth, it can happen. It can be expected. It's not that big a deal for them because of the fact that West Brom are simply so good with Tony Pulis at eking out results. So hats off to West Brom for starting off the season well. And Bournemouth, hey, keep your heads up. You will continue to improve. Next up, we have Chelsea versus Burnley. Now, when it comes to shocking performances of the weekend, you cannot disagree that this is the most shocking one of them all. I mean, Cahill, after 13 minutes, goes in there with a stupid-ass tackle in his opponent's third. Just think how stupid that is. He was pretty much, 10 yards maybe from the opponent's box, and he goes in there for a lunging, one-footed tackle with the spikes up. I mean, how stupid is that? How stupid is that? Especially because of the fact that there's already so much tension in that locker room. There's so much tension between the manager and Abramovich. There's so much tension there. A lot of players are having these little issues, like Diego Costa wants to leave, things like that. I don't think he's gone yet. There's so much drama in the locker room. And Gary Cahill goes out there as the captain, nonetheless, in his first game as captain. He goes out there and he does a stupid tackle in the opponent's third, where there's absolutely no need to tackle, regardless of what kind of tackle it is. He goes in there, studs up, and gets so funky. He looks so stupid. What happened from then on? Chelsea, who had I think it was, I can't remember if it was 65 or 75% possession before that, before he got the red card. They ended up having around 50-something, 55-ish at the end of the half, but they were down 2-0. Was it 2-0 or 3? I can't remember if it was 2-0 down or 3, but they were absolutely getting mauled. I think it was 3, actually. They were getting mauled brutally in that game, and absolutely, they just looked atrocious ever since Gary Cahill went out. And yes, obviously playing in 10 men, that is a big problem, but they didn't really change much. You know what I mean? They moved Gary Cahill obviously off the pitch, but they had Christensen, the young Canadian player who had a very good spell at Borussia Mönchengladbach. They slid him into Gary Cahill's position as one of the 3 in the defensive lineup. But in front of him, they pretty much didn't change anything. They took out Boga to replace him with Christensen, but they didn't really add anything. And that's exactly where Nemanja Matic would have come in and really saved Chelsea, because he is a fucking badass. You saw what he did against Real Madrid. You saw what he did against West Ham. If you put him there, he will sweep things up, especially him alongside Conte. That's exactly why Chelsea were so good last season, because they had two tremendous midfielders, defensive midfielders, who could really clean things up and free up the players like Fabregas, like Willian, Hazard, whatever. That's exactly what they needed, and they fucking blew it. They blew it by selling him, especially to United, who are obviously one of their main title rivals, and that's a big loss for them. And overall, Chelsea in this game showed that once things start to go bad for them, they really do turn to basically pudding. I mean, they don't have any heart. They don't have any strength, especially in depth. Yes, they brought in Morata, and obviously Alvaro Morata is a much better player than Batshuayi. So why was Batshuayi starting? I don't really understand. I guess some people have been talking about how maybe Conte wanted to protect Morata because he's been having so much criticism, but I don't really buy into that. I think maybe Morata, I don't know, maybe he wasn't physically ready for it for 90 minutes yet. He put him in, and immediately Morata changed the game, and obviously that's to be expected because Morata is a tremendous striker. He got a goal and an assist. Obviously, the assist for David Luiz was just crazy. Like a header backwards, almost random. David Luiz was in position, so tremendous work from David Luiz, even though he was way out of position, but I get what they were trying to do. They were 3-1 down, so there's no use in defending, so just try to get that goal. And realistically, they could have gotten 3-3, but at the end of the day, Burnley deserved it completely because Burnley played a tremendous game. And the only thing that really cost them is the fact that in defense, and once Chelsea's really started just attacking as hard as they could, they showed their defensive weaknesses. But hell of a goal from Ward to get that second goal. Hell of a performance from Vokes to get a brace. Just tremendous performance all around from Burnley. Next up, we have Crystal Palace versus Huddersfield. And this was probably the second most shocking result. Now, at least for me, because a lot of people have been predicting that Crystal Palace are going to be absolute dog shit. But I don't think they're going to be dog shit. I think they added Loftus-Cheek to Fosu-Mensah. So I do think they are going to be doing a bit better than people maybe give them credit for because they also have a pretty decent team. But at the end of the day, you have to be performing way better than that. You have to be performing way better than that. And Huddersfield, I don't honestly know much about them. I don't know pretty much any of their players except for maybe Ince and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, when you're playing against a team like Huddersfield, you have to go out there and you have to impose your will when you are a Premier League proven team. You have to do that, especially when you play like Benteke, Zaha. You have to be the better team. That's simply it. And Zaha has very up and down performances, but he's still a really good player. I expected much better out of him. He didn't perform. This overall awful performance for Crystal Palace. Huddersfield being the first promoted team to get a win, and a big win. They were actually top of the league for a while before United got the 4-0 win, so I think they're second in the league right now. So tremendous performance from them, beating a team that they probably shouldn't have. So hats off to them. Hopefully they will get promoted. I mean, not promoted. They will stay in the league. I have them being relegated, so once again, check out the prediction videos. But at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to be able to. They play some good football. They play a lot of attacking football, so very fun football, much like Bournemouth when they first came up to the Premier League. But the question is, once the teams start to figure out how to defend against them, are they going to still be able to do it? I personally don't think they are. I think they're going to come close to being saved, but I do think they're going to get relegated. Next up, we have Everton versus Stoke City. And I'm not going to say a whole lot about this game. Everton dominated it. And one thing I do want to say is hats off to Wayne Rooney. Rooney, right there. Boom. Wayne Rooney. Congratulations, man. He's probably my favorite player growing up and has been one of my favorite players. I'm now 23, so it's kind of weird having oh my god, that guy's my fucking favorite. If I see him, I'll tremble. I don't have that anymore. I saw him last season. I was very close to getting an autograph for him. I wasn't exactly emotional, but at the end of the day, he's still one of my favorite players, and I have so many great memories of him from me growing up and really loving his goals and him being one of the best players in the world for us. There was a while there where, he was better than Ronaldo, he was better than Messi, he was better than all those guys. He was one of the top players in the world. And even when Ronaldo and Messi went on to be the GOATs, he was pretty much, top 5 in the world, pretty much until 4 years ago. So I would say he was just a tremendous player. And I'm really, really happy for him to get a goal at Goodison Park in his re-debut game for Everton. And just the celebration in particular reminded me of classic Rooney. I don't remember the last time he celebrated like that for United, the sliding on the ground. That was just classic Wayne Rooney celebration. And it really did take me back to when he was a young guy. He was young. He was 16 or 17 when he joined United. He was just so young. And the emotion that he has now reminded me of the emotion he had when he was a kid playing for Everton. And I'm really happy for him. I hope he does very well. I do hope Everton do well, just not better than United. Because if they do better than us, then that's pretty atrocious. But a 1-0 win over Stoke is respectable. Because Stoke, even if people aren't very high on them after they didn't really improve anything in the transfer market, but they did do a great piece of business selling Arnautovic for £25 million. And I'll talk about that later on. But right now, Stoke losing 1-0 at Goodison, that's not a big deal. It's not a big problem. Everton are always good at Goodison. So Stoke will for sure do better in their next match, but I do have to have a lot of compliments for Everton because they have changed a lot. They lost Lukaku, so they do have to change a lot for their team. They changed completely formation. Now they're playing a 3-5-2-1 type of thing, and it did work for them. So hats off to Wayne Rooney, hats off to Everton, and looking good for Rooney. I mean, I really do hope he comes back to being the player he used to be. Next up, we have Southampton versus Swansea, the only 0-0 game of the weekend, and honestly, the only game I didn't watch this whole weekend, just because they weren't showing it on TV here where I am. So, boring game. Obviously, 0-0, boring game. I think Southampton really do have to improve, and Swansea City, obviously, if they do lose Sigurdsson, they're pretty much fucked. But Southampton, they need to bring in some players, because right now they simply don't have it. Van Dijk is probably going to be on his way out, and they really don't need to keep a guy in the locker room if he doesn't want to be there. You know, I've always been of that opinion. If a guy wants out, get the right deal, sell him, because all he's going to do is poison the locker room, poison the mood, so you don't need that guy. Just get rid of him, and do whatever you can to get the right price for him and bring in somebody who's a good replacement. So, at the end of the day, Southampton, Swansea, both teams, nothing to really talk about there. Next up, we have Brighton versus Manchester City. And unfortunately, this game was a bit of a letdown in the sense that Brighton were holding on until like the 60th minute, and they actually had a few chances of their own right before City scored. So maybe they conceded the goals because they got a little bit too cocky. Maybe they felt a little bit too confident and they started attacking a bit more than they should have. But City, Aguero, good goal, just classic Aguero. And then the second one from Gabriel Jesus, that was just Brighton attacking a bit too much and hoping to try to get a result out of it. But at the end of the day, I had a lot of confidence that City were going to absolutely go out there and destroy them. I was expecting like a 3-0, 4-0 type of game, but absolutely destroying them with Brighton not creating anything. But as always, City center backs are garbage. Their defense is trash. So they do let in plenty of chances. And against one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst team in the league, they let in quite a few chances. So imagine what's going to happen when they go against a really good team and even like a top 10 team. They're going to have some problems. And I do think that City remain very beatable. When it comes to their offense, obviously they're very creative. And they did add Bernardo Silva, which I don't think he played. I watched the whole game, but I don't remember seeing him once. I know David Silva shaved his head. I was thinking to myself, like, who the fuck is that guy? Is that fucking David Silva? He used to look like a fucking girly-ass prick. But now he just looks like what the fuck is up with his head? Yeah, I mean, I was just shocked to see how much worse he looks bald than he does with his long, girly hair. I mean, it was just shocking. But at the end of the day, David Silva still is David Silva. He is a bit older, so he isn't playing as well as he used to, but he's still a really good player. You can't deny that. And at the end of the day, Man City went out there. They deserved the result. They absolutely deserved it. They had a lot of chances early on. Brighton really got lucky. I think City hit the post a couple times, but overall Brighton got pretty lucky for quite a while to be in the game. And City were unlucky not to finish some of the chances. But as always, they have some problems finishing. And they didn't even have Sterling in there, which is the master of poor finishing. So they do have some stuff to work on. City are obviously going to be the main rivals for United to be winning the title, for anybody to win the title. A lot of people have them favorites. A lot of other people have United as the favorites. I think they're going to be neck and neck all season long. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens because when it comes to goals, both teams have so much goals in them. And I think it's going to be very, very close. Next up, we have Tottenham versus Newcastle, or Newcastle versus Tottenham. And Newcastle, honestly, they kind of got fucked from the beginning because they got red carded. They got fucked by John Joe Shelby, not by the referee. Let's be very clear. John Joe Shelby being the dumbass that he always been. He's always done these stupid-ass mistakes. He's always cost his team a lot, even back when he was with Liverpool. So you can't really be surprised by that, especially because he was playing against a team like Tottenham who are going to run rings around him, and he doesn't really like that stuff. So he got himself a nice little red card, got Newcastle completely even more on the back foot. And at the end of the day, Tottenham, being such a great team that they are, they deserve to go out there and they deserve to get the win. And Newcastle, for the time being, they did do well. But once they were in 10 men, and even for a while when they were in 10 men, they were still performing pretty well. But at the end of the day, they just didn't have what it takes to beat Tottenham. And realistically, I think that Newcastle fans have to have realistic expectations because until the owner, Mike Ashley, decides to actually spend money on some actually proven players, you aren't going to be able to really compete for anything like even the Europa League spot. So I do hope for you guys that does change. But at the end of the day, your team is what it is. And I've been saying at the end of the day way too much in this episode. I'm not going to say it anymore for this episode. Now, next up we have Man United versus West Ham and the return of Chicharito. I was excited to see the return of Chicharito. Not for the reasons that you might think. Not because, I love Chicharito. Don't get me wrong. I do like Chicharito. I have good memories of him. He got, 56 goals and 156 performances, something like that. So he did have a lot of goals for us, considering the amount of games he played. at the end of the day, and I just said it again, fuck me, okay? But when I saw Chicharito being on the team sheet, playing alone as the only striker on that team, I knew we were going to have an easy time. Because I knew it. If you look at Chicharito, what's his game? His game is being a poacher in the box and pretty much just getting easy finishes. He has some good finishes from outside the box, but he's not really dangerous at all with his feet, except for like tap-ins. So when I saw him being the only striker, I was like, man, this is going to be easy as motherfuck, because the guy has no first touch. The guy has no quality on the ball. He's only good at shooting, finishing, has no passing. So there's really no hope of him like being a guy maybe sort of like a Lukaku, for example. But even a smaller guy like maybe a Griezmann or a Lewandowski, who has a lot of quality in their feet, so they can dish it out to the wide players, stuff like that. They can hold up play. Chicharito doesn't have that. He has a lot of energy. He works really hard. He presses well, but he does not good on the ball. He has no quality. Unless he's getting the ball fed in front of him, being able to take a shot, then he's not going to be able to do anything. And that's exactly what happened. Phil Jones had him in his back pocket. There was absolutely no threat from him all game long. And at the end of the day, and I fucking said it again, West Ham simply didn't have the quality to compete with us. And honestly, I consider West Ham to be one of the best teams in the league. Not one of the like top 5, top 6, but I easily see them as 8th. And once again, check out the prediction videos. I see them as 8th or 9th. Honestly, I do think they have quality in that team. They have a lot of good power. They have a lot of good players in that team. And Zabaleta was exposed. A lot of people have been saying like Zabaleta's a good signing for West Ham, but he's absolutely not. He's too old. He's too fucking old. Especially when you're West Ham, where you're going to be on the back foot the whole time. We're not talking about Zabaleta with Manchester City, where his team is going to be attacking the whole time, so he doesn't really have to be worrying about defense. They're going to score goals regardless at City. At West Ham, they don't have that luxury, and having a player like Zabaleta, who's that old, who isn't as explosive as he used to be, isn't as quick, and isn't as good as he used to be, that is a weakness. That is a big weakness in the team. That is a bad buy for them, and they really do need to address that very soon, sooner rather than later. But I do think that West Ham are much better than they showed in that game. I do think they are going to be providing a tough test for some of the bigger teams, but realistically, this is West Ham. This is West Ham. They do this every single season. They come in with a lot of expectations. They come in with a good team, and they blow it. They do not reach the expectations that people have for them, and that's exactly what happened to them in this game. But regardless, they came against a United team that was looking tremendous. In the first 30 minutes, more or less, it was kind of stale. It was looking like classic United, but I do blame that on the fact that West Ham were playing very rigid in defense. They weren't really counterattacking with much of anything. They were just focusing on not losing. And once the first goal came from a beautiful pass from Rashford and a tremendous fucking finish from Lukaku, the only way he could score that goal was by banging it off the post, and he did exactly that. It was a perfect finish, just a beautiful, tremendous vision, tremendous left foot strike, because that's not his main foot, and just an amazing finish from Lukaku. And that really did open up the game, because West Ham found themselves pretty much being forced to attack us, and that sort of cost them, because Lukaku got a beautiful second finish. Then Martial with a tremendous finish to get that third goal. I loved the movement from Martial, being right there on the edge. Perfect first touch, just slide it past the defenders. Another great touch to get it halfway between the defenders and the keeper. He was completely out of reach from both parties. And then just a beautiful shot. Low, kept it slow, precise, right into the bottom corner. Just a tremendous strike from Martial to make it 3-0. And then Pogba, doing what Pogba does best. That is proof that Pogba needs to be closer to the goal. And yes, the game was over already. It was 3-0 and it was pretty much 5 minutes left, something like that. But still, Pogba being freed up by Matic really showed how he's very good at moving into great space. He's great at finding open space and really using his physique. He uses his strength perfectly, and he faked it. He made it look like it was going to be a hard shot, a driven shot, but it ended up being a very precise shot. He hit it with a curling shot, but with a lot of power. It was just a beautiful strike to make it 4-0. An overall tremendous performance. My personal man of the match was Nemanja Matic, and he was, I think, voted man of the match. He was just amazing in that game. He really showed what a loss he is for Chelsea, because he was absolutely dominating that midfield. Anytime the ball would get anywhere near our defenders, he was always there to either clear it for them or just not even allow it to get in and to even get close to them. He was just a perfect player there. He even got a shot off, and even offensively, he was looking tremendous, because he is really good at breaking up play, but also starting it over and really building up attack and really allowing some of the offensive players to give more space. But even then, he is also really good at finding space on his own. I think it was maybe in the second half, he beat 3 or 4 West Ham players in a row, in one single play. He was just tremendous at quick passes between his right foot to his left foot. Just did something that you wouldn't expect from a guy like him. Just so much speed in his footwork, and that was just tremendous to see. And I was really impressed by him. Obviously, him being my man of the match really shows that I was impressed by him, and I have so much hopes for this United team. And my dad was talking about how he doesn't believe in Lukaku. Obviously, it's still early, but how about that, huh? How about that, Sueño? 2 goals in his first game and 2 beautiful finishes. Also got to go against Real Madrid. I'm pretty sure he's going to bang in 20. You might not believe, but he will absolutely make you believe. So have some respeto, Sueño. And when you do get here, we have that challenge. So we'll see you soon. Anyway, so yeah, obviously great performance there from United. I'm very happy with it. There was a while there in the first 30 minutes where I was looking a little bit worrying because we were creating a lot of chances, but once again, we just weren't taking them. Lukaku got in his first 2 strikes, because you can't really count the one where he was on the ground. He didn't really quite get a strike off of it, but in his first 2 shots, 2 goals. Then he missed a couple more, but at the end of the day, and I said it fucking again, he still had a tremendous performance. I'm really happy with my striker. So overall, I'm really happy with Lukaku's performance. I'm really happy with everybody in the team. All the offensive players, Lukaku, Rashford, Mkhitaryan, even Martial when he came on, I was very happy with every single one of them, and I have a lot of faith in the team moving forward. Obviously, it's very early. Last season, we won the first 3, and then we lost to Man City. Or what was the first 2? I don't remember. I think it was the first 3 we won, then we lost to Man City. And then even Man City, they won their first 10, and they still finished 4th. Or 3rd. 3rd. I can't remember. It was 3rd or 4th. Either way, they won their first 10 games and they collapsed brutally. So it's still really early. There's still a lot to be played for, and there's still some really tough games, especially for Chelsea. I mean, if there's ever a time to be worried if you're a Chelsea fan, it's right now. And there was already a Chelsea fan saying it never got that bad under Jose Mourinho. They never lost that badly, and that is true. Jose Mourinho was gone. Yes, Antonio Conte won last season, but watch what you wish for. You wanted Jose Mourinho out. He's with us. He's going to win titles with us. And you are about to fucking collapse brutally. Because now they have to play, I can't remember exactly what order it is. I think it's Everton, Tottenham, Leicester, then Spurs. No, excuse me. Everton, Tottenham, Leicester, Arsenal. That's so fucking hard for them. They are going to lose points in those games. So let me know in the comment section down below, guys, what you think of each of these performances. Who were you impressed with the most? And who do you think was the most shocking? Was it Crystal Palace? That probably is going to be the result, but was it also Chelsea? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you liked the video, please destroy that like button. Only click it once or 3 times. Always odd numbers. If you click it twice, then I lose the like, and that is really bad because I don't really get a whole lot of likes anyway because I don't have a lot of viewership, so I need you guys to help me out with that. Please share it. Please help me grow this community. If you enjoy it, I'm going to bring you good content. This right now is a bit of a random video, I guess you could say, because I just moved yesterday. I just moved back to my old place. So I don't have my microphone, I forgot that, but I do have some new lights that I got for my birthday. I have a lot of stuff that's coming for you guys. I have a lot of quality stuff, and I hope that you guys will tune into that. Thank you so much for watching. Please, like I said, smash the like button. Please subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. I've been Diego from the Foot and Fist Sports Network, and I'll see you in the next video.